Hello and welcome everybody to Astro Mondays. How's it all going out there? Please let us know how the last week has been going and what you've been feeling like today. I'm about to bring on Christopher Witecki, and we're going to be talking about the map, the cosmos, the step system. We go day by day on what to expect with the energies of the universe and how that's related into reality and how that's related into our life. So please let us all know where you're coming in from and what life has been like over the last week since we did this last week. And we also had a full moon in there as well. So how did that treat you? And we're just going to be waiting for Chris to come. Definitely give a follow. I'll put it down in the chat right now. I just accepted.
Hey, brother.
Hey, how's it going?
It's pretty well. I have a little infection in my left eye. It's interesting there because like that means usually something your spirit doesn't want to see or is not looking at. So it's been an intense weekend for me from going into these new degrees. But otherwise, good. I mean, energetically, I think we're on the right path. But I think there's a lot of changes happening. What are you seeing in your life?
I'm seeing a lot of just crammed, like basically my level of output has went from like pretty relaxed to like an all-out sprint, and
Mhm.
that's definitely a change for me. And just a lot of awakenings and awareness happening as well, like things I never even thought of before are coming into awareness. I also feel like that's happening for other people as well.
Most definitely. Well, Libra is all about our balance, so it's going to reveal like where we're out of balance, and we're transitioning into the chapter 3 of Libra now. This is the mastery, and this is I think very important in the sense that our emotional relationship with each other as a nation, as a world, is what determines the world outcome. And so, because we all contribute emotional, notes to the orchestra, and so we've always sort of been told to look outside of ourselves as a solution. But the problem is that we have to calm ourselves down and bring ourselves to center before we go forward. And that's what the real lesson is of the third chapter of Libra is that, Librans also don't do well with emotion. They're an air sign. They like to be like, they like things staying, emotionally. And so when they get thrown off, they're really a little dizzy. And so
Okay.
to some degree, because Libras are so like they like to tit for tat, detail for detail, kind of figure stuff. Well, this is the one decan from now until the end of this season where feelings are just hitting like wind up alongside the ship, and so you're having to be clear on how you feel to begin with. So you have to have an emotional awareness of how you feel to begin with, because if you don't know where the problem is when it hits. You don't know if it's you're the problem, and if the world's going through a lot of trauma, and I think the world's going to go through something this next 10 days because this would be the time for it to happen. It'll be the next 10 days that something might happen that just throws off our emotional balance, right? Then what happens is you have sort of a ping pong, ball machine, like lotto machine, where everyone's emotions start bouncing off each other like popcorn. And so this is where, this is where you have to, practice makes mastery. You want to leave the house feeling very secure about how you feel about yourself. And you want to protect that feeling of yourself and say, I'm not going to let the world get to, except don't use a not. Say, I am protecting this feeling of centeredness and groundedness. I'm protecting this feeling through the whole day. This is the only feeling I'm focusing on. And I'm only allowing, not so I'm only allowing this feeling to, rule my day. And so it's sort of practicing of like treading water and keeping your emotional field in this like state. And I think at the same time, there's something in the world counting on us to boil over.
So you're saying that's for everyone. I
Everyone.
do, yeah, I definitely particularly feel like you just said, like it's like I'm keeping myself afloat, but it feels like a lot to do that. Um, and I laughed earlier because Carolina commented that it was my birthday. Like so much is happening that I forgot it was my birthday. Um, so, uh, but okay,
Yeah.
so
Happy birthday, brother.
thank you.
Is today your actual step birthday, step 20?
I thought I was 19.
Okay, so that happens. And actually, we'll take it back. What happens is the calendar year is always the same, but the planets actually kind of move around. And so your step birthday will be sometimes a day before or 2 days before, as far as 2 days before your actual calendar birthday or after your calendar birthday. So technically, your step birthday was yesterday.
Okay. And what's the difference for everybody? Just let's bring everyone else into this.
So your calendar birthday is a birthday that we've given to you as man, humankind. And so what they don't tell you is that like every 4 years we have a leap year where we add an extra day, right? And what that does is that makes up for the fact that we're always off by a quarter year every year, like a little quarter of a day every year. For every year, we're off by about a quarter of a day as far as like where it's slipping. And if you're just the planets are
Hmm.
on a fixed
Got it.
rotation, right? But the calendar moves around because man made the calendar and man put the calendar on top of things. And we also made a solar calendar instead of a lunar calendar. Lunar calendar would be accurate actually if we had a lunar calendar. We're basing on the place of the moon where it was, every 28 days, and that would be more accurate. But nonetheless, so what happens is you'll find if with someone on your step birthday is the day you actually feel like yourself. That's the day you feel like it's your birthday. And usually it's not on the same day as your actual birthday. So sometimes if it comes before, it looks good, thanks. If it comes before, then you're kind of like, wow, I'm excited for my birthday. And then your birthday comes and you're like, oh, what a lousy birthday. Well, because ultimately, you actually felt your birthday on your actual energetic birthday, and then you went to the next day, Sometimes, although too, right prior to your birthday, you must always have like a lot of heaviness. Everyone has heaviness before their birthday, and it's because you're coming to the end of a cycle where all of your highest tests of faith are put on the line right before your birthday. We're talking like the 3 days before your birthday. It's all test of faith. Like we'll like be able to pull this off kind of thing, and that's really you
Yeah,
rebirthing.
that's actually what I feel. That's what I meant about like struggling to stay afloat. Like it's this will I pull this off?
Yes,
Exactly. It's that feeling.
yes, and that is literally the new ego being born. That's the new step number being born. That's you really giving birth. The answer is, of course you are. You wouldn't ask if you didn't know you were going to. Like, if you ask the question, you know you're going to be fine. Like, it's the people who don't ask the question that are truly lost, right? So asking the question already is the proof. You've got your shit together. Like, it might be more than you used to. And given this year, the 12th house transit was really hard. Everyone's pre-birthday period this year is very hard because we're letting go of so much at the same time, and it comes out. And literally I remember too for mine, it was like total digestion issues. It was like just letting, like I had, I was on tummy meds the entire time because my indigestion, my body was just like unhappy with everything. But I think it's a change is what it is. We're changing into a lighter version of ourselves. We have to be lighter to do our work
Yeah.
moving forward. Yeah. Hmm.
And so you mentioned earlier that your eye, there's something going on with your eye, and then you mentioned that that means something. And so
Yes.
can
Hmm.
you talk a little bit more about that? Because I don't think we've actually talked about that, you and I, about how the body and ailments energetically mean some things, but like maybe some common things that people experience all the time, like a headache.
Well, it's a lot of things. I mean, also the sign is it depends on the sign too to some degree. Like a headache for an Aries is an average day. Anytime they have, promise, they push themselves beyond what their mind's capable of. And I don't mean that they're not smart. I'm saying they're not a mental person. They're an action person. So if they had like so much complexity going on, they'll create migraines. Is what will happen. And so that's kind of common. And Taurus, every sign has sort of a kind of go-to. Taurus will be a sore throat. You start to hear a hoarseness in their voice. They're starting to get their body's starting to break down a little bit, right? That kind of thing. So the signs have their own thing. But usually, when you have any kind of ailment, especially now, I mean, right now is such a telling time because we are basically changing our relationships to according to our karma, and so we're being asked, how we're going to relate to ourselves, how we relate to our daily life, how we relate to our future, ultimately. And so, in this question, how to relate to your future, um, anything that's like preventing you from anything that's preventing you from seeing the truth because it's not what you've known before. What we're going next is not something you've known before. You're really finding something out that you did not know. And so as a result, you have to rely on yourself emotionally and you have to be in yourself. So my point is, I had like this overnight eye infection. Like my eyes just woke up swollen and closed like the next day. And I went to bed with my eye looking fine. I was like, okay, that is like overnight, spontaneous, dis-ease. And so basically when you have a part go down, it tells you stuff. Like, so left and right knees. You know, the left side is your intuitive side, which is your spiritual karma, and your right side is your ego of this lifetime, right? And they're each controlled by the opposite side of the brain. So right off the bat, like if you have an injury, I always say to you, which side do you have the injury? A knee injury on the left side is an inflexibility to your karma. A knee injury on the right side is an inflexibility to your ego's being inflexible. So your spirit or your ego is being inflexible, and that usually affects some of a knee problem, swollen knee problem, you know, things like that. Sometimes issues with the feet have to do with karma, and like you're neglecting your feet, you're neglecting your karma. You know, obviously the eyes, that your eyes and ears are all like you don't want to see. Like there's something that is, you know, there's something that's upset. The left eye is upset for some reason. It's not happy with what it's seeing. It's not happy with what's coming around the corner. Maybe it's worried to see something that happened before, and it has to see through it to see that it won't happen again. You know, but I will say this: whatever happens in your body is now. I happen to be a Taurus, and so we're in our body transit. This is our annual body transit. Libra is how we approach our body. We're very sensitive to our daily life. So every year in Libra, my body will do something to tell me I'm doing it wrong, you know, like something. So for me, you know, it's like this is the second one though. I've won the first and the third decade now. So I have a little body like burnouts, not really burnouts, but strikes. My body going, we're on strike. That's it. I'm like, what? I thought we were talking good, you know, kind of thing. But ultimately, it's the embodiment of my spiritual issues that come up. That's what it's all about. How's it embodied into the people I work with? How's it embodied to what I do? You know, what kind of things have I tolerated? And overall, what I've, you know, I stressed a ton of theft in my life too. You know, I've talked about that. And I came to the conclusion that, you know, what I've come to the conclusion of feeling curious is just like that I have been, so for me inside myself, I have said, we'll get there one day, we'll get there, just keep going, you know, kind of thing. Always going to the next day, the next day, the next day. Progress is good the next day. And so what I'm starting to feel the burden of is like, it can't be the next day anymore. It has to be now. Like, so that's where I've been stealing from myself. I've been stealing my life from myself, from my mind's ambitions. And so it's like, okay, you know, it was a realization. And it's like, inside yourself, you don't think that's wrong. You're being strong. You're doing what you want. You're doing what you've aimed for. You're getting your results. So it's like, I think we don't always realize the consequences of who we are to ourselves. And another part of ourselves is not happy, right? And so, you know, those of us who are positive people, you just always go to that positive, stay strong, break through, break free. And so what Libra is teaching us is there's a part of yourself that you have not been paying enough attention to. No, who forever. And for me, I think it's my heart. It comes out of my heart because my Pluto's in Libra at 1 degree. And so, you know, Pluto, I have Pluto in Libra. I have issues of boundaries in all relationships. It all stems at step 1, the very first step, which means it affects everything in my life. Everything from step 1 to step 29 is affected when it starts that low, you know. I know why it is. It's because I haven't had the right to draw my own boundaries ever. I was always, you know, give me a ladder and I'll climb it, you know. But the idea that I had to make my own ladder and climb it, that was totally new, right? And so because I didn't really have structure and boundaries in my second house of money. I was just used to working with the king's budget or whatever, kind of thing, if that makes sense. So long story short, you know, as a result, I can try to overproduce my second house and because the Pluto's not really strong there, you know, overproduce. And what I'm finding is, you know, we're talking about this in our classes. We have Intro to Step Astrology that we're wrapping up with 40 days of life and truth and purpose coming up. And, you know, you'll look at your chart and go over it very deeply. You'll see that everything that you're dealing with is completely there in the chart. And what you know, and what you don't know. And so energetically, what we're at is like we're in this place in Libra where we're trying to finesse and make the best relationship to ourselves we've ever had. And so far, I think our relationship to ourselves has been mostly survive, just get through it, right? But now we're having to rise to another finesse, and that finesse is what I'm finding is like this year is like all the stuff you tend to ignore in order to do what you want to do. This part of you is neglected by you, you know, not paid attention to. And so this is why things happen in our life. So I think everyone, their Pluto placement in their chart, we've been talking about their Pluto placement because, you know, Pluto is generational, and we're at a generational moment where we're going to move up. You know, the baby boomers are going to finally retire at 70 something, you know, and the Gen Xers are stepping up. Millennials are next in line. So it's like you see this whole migration to the forward into power and what things are supposed to be. And what I've learned the most this year in Step Astrology, when I'm teaching the class, is that if you don't have your Pluto covered, if you're not protecting the one part of your Pluto says, nothing will work out. Nothing.
And what is
Nothing.
what's Pluto telling us?
Pluto is it's Scorpio, so we're about to go into the land of Scorpio. So I'm setting up, you know, Libra is kind of like, okay, I think this would be fair. and then we're going to go into Scorpio and we're going to start drawing lines. Well, this is fair, so you're cut off, you're in, you're this, that, curfew is this, you start cutting with Scorpio, start drawing lines. This is over, this is over. So we start really doing the transformation in Scorpio. But Pluto basically is the source of your Scorpio energy in your soul. And wherever Pluto is in your chart is something that it's step zero, it's the foundation to this entire life wherever Pluto is. And for me, it's self-love. And I've always done well self-love compared to others, but you can't compare to others. You actually only compare to yourself and where you were before and keep going. And wherever Pluto is, you can keep walking and never stop, and you won't learn enough in one lifetime as far as how you have to make distinctions between things in yourself. So my point is, as we go into Pluto land,
Right.
which is, Halloween is Pluto, death, Scorpio. As we go to Halloween, we look at the spooky stuff that's underneath us. Recognize that wherever your Pluto is in your chart, which we have ways of teaching and showing you, that thing is like the most important thing right now, because that was the biggest handicap you had all your lifetimes. You've had this handicap, and you cannot complete, like, say you've evolved unless you've handled that first step of like protecting yourself the way you need to, right? And it comes down to step number of your Pluto. So I think this particular Scorpio, what I'm getting to is Libra's all about kind of negotiating where things have to be. Like, oh, this has to be this way. This is way off this way. We're way off track here. We're way off course here. So just keeping the airplane level and balance and just restoring balance. But then once you restore balance, it's like, okay, we need to now have a new solid foundation to make sure we don't slip back into that past. And so how are we make sure we don't slip back in that past? So what's going to be the boundary? And the boundary is like something you think about in the mornings, every morning, that you have to put limits around and say, only happiness here.
The way that you speak about this is that we're in this constant state of evolution. And could you elaborate a little bit on that? Because it's easy to just see life as like, oh, I do the same thing every single day and I'm the same person and nothing really changes. And so how are we being completely or always called to evolve through these cycles that you constantly talk about? Like you're beautifully laying out how it is that we're going to change and get to know each other or get to know ourselves a little bit more. But I'm just wondering if you could elaborate on like how that's a natural phenomenon that pretty much all of life and probably the planet is going through constantly.
Right. Well, what happens is that Pluto represents the final line. It's the final planet. It is a planet. It's not happy that we stopped calling it a planet, by the way. It's the final line of the solar system. You got to get through Pluto to get to the sun or get to the Earth. You have to get past Pluto's orbit. It's sort of the guard that's guarding the solar system. It represents the end of the line. Once you cross Pluto, I'm not sure as a human how much you feel human, because so much of feeling human comes from the planets themselves, and Pluto's the line. So you cross Pluto, I don't know if you feel human anymore. I mean, I'm talking astronauts. We'll see, right? Hopefully. So what it means in you is that, there are parts that define you. And we are not accustomed to having anything separated in heaven. We're all connected into oneness. We don't have a separation where I start and you end. We don't know. Like it's just all seamless and gooey, like being underwater. And so when we come to Earth, this idea of this, not that, to take just one part of heaven and not that part of heaven, that is actually us discovering the edges of who we are. These are the edges of who we are, which is us discovering, oh, I'm this other thing, and we start to take shape. Every thing you say no or yes to, everything you say no to, creates a shape, puts a wall up, so to speak, energetically. You begin to form this shape in 3D from the boundaries where it stops. So it turns out that here we're in the world of manifestation. We talk about materializing what we want, but what we don't realize is you have to first say everything you don't want before you make what you want. You have to say and the way you make what you want is you make only from what you want. There are no negative statements in an affirmation that deals with the boundary. The boundary is.
But so you're saying we still have to define what we don't want first, clear that, and then we go into a non-negative affirmation.
Correct. Basically, we do this. We call the vault exercise every morning on our pep talk. I'll do this. I'll just say affirmations. So today it's just I protect. There are I protect prompts, and you're just saying to the universe, I'm protecting this today. I'm protecting this today. And what you're doing is you're putting a separation, or like you're paying attention to that one part of yourself and giving it special attention. And I really think the fastest way to grow right now is to basically give your thoughts. So have a question when you go in there, like what to do about this or that. And then let your thoughts, it's a 5-2-1 method. Let your thoughts say what they have to say. Then put them off to the side. Let your feelings say what they have to say. And you'll notice right away that your feelings are saying things your thoughts never brought up. Okay? Right off the bat, you see that you have a part of you that has its own voice, that sees stuff that the other part of you doesn't see. And so, really, where we're at here in the core of being children is that we are mixing up everything on our plate. We are mixing up our feelings and our thoughts. We don't know which one is which. We know what a thought is. We're not sure if the thought was because of the feeling, if the feeling was because of the thought. We're not quite sure where they end. And we think that we'll feel better if we change the way we think, but that's not really how it works. You don't change. You don't feel better by changing the way you think because you don't use, a screwdriver to dig up a grave. It's like different tools for different things. And so emotions have their own needs. And then when you have your thoughts and emotions calm, which is usually the problem with the storm is usually that the mind has come up with an idea that has emotionally upset you. And that idea has upset you because it brings up other times and other feelings. And because feelings connect to all feelings, you certainly are aware of all the feelings that are tied to this idea, like a search term, right? And so your mind comes up with this search term and you get upset. Now the mind thinks, oh, I have a problem with depression, or I have a
It
problem.
activates the algorithm.
Right, exactly. And so what happens is all the feelings associated with that word come to the surface, and we go to a therapist and tell them everything on our mind. And it's
Right.
like that's not how you fix a feeling. A feeling is an energetic sort of body of energy, and it's emotional body. It's its own body. We have a mental body and emotional body. It's like basically like another ghost living in us. Part of our ghost living in us is just their emotions and what
Yeah.
they're doing. And so really the biggest issue I think we have as humans as far as our ascension is that we don't know how to massage and manage our feelings. We have no coping skills. We don't know how to get ourselves to calm down without something in our mind changing. We think that we have to have a change in our mind to feel better, and that's not true. And you all know that because no matter how many times you find the solution, you still feel bad because the mind is not. If the mind
Right.
makes you, if you change your mind, you feel better. That means your mind was the part of you that was really bugging you prior to that. If the mind is not the part of you bugging you, something else is. The mind can't fix it.
A lot of times we try and fix our feelings logically with our mind. We try to
Mm-hmm.
rearrange, well, how does this make sense? What can I do? What can I change? And then the feelings just, as soon as they get triggered again, it happens. You're back in them, unable
You
to
are.
control them.
Well, and you have to process them. You have to cope with them. So basically, if there's a law of the universe, is that you have to feel it, and then you have to feel how you feel about that. Like we have to say, I feel this way, and I feel this way about this way. And just that experience of feeling it and feeling the feeling of it, that's the higher layer. The feeling has nothing else to tell you now. It's told you everything. It's really a messenger, a complex messenger of a complex situation that led to that feeling. And so we use the feeling as sort of like a large vehicle to carry conscious moments in, is in the feeling. We memorize things in feelings of
Yes.
all the details, and so was away for work, and this and the car was in the shop, and all these details are all under this one feeling. An example of this is when you hear an old song come on from your childhood that was popular, like when you were a kid or in high school, and suddenly you feel like you're in high school again because you associate the feeling with the vibration of that song. The song is literally a vibration, a signature, and your feeling has attached itself to that signature. So when you hear the song, which is a literal vibrational signature, it literally resurrects the memory into the whole being, and you play it like a film.
Well, yeah, from what I know about what I've read from channeled entities and people that claim they work with extraterrestrials, is that if we're in a non-physical realm and we're traveling through time and space, a lot of that has to do with feeling. You're feeling your way to a different reality. And like what you just said reminded me of, like, when you remember something, you really get into the feeling state. There's the wall of like now and back 20 years ago that I'm remembering, like that wall begins to completely fade away if you're in the feeling of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you're not in the same physical space, but that doesn't even matter if you're feeling the same things that happened 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. No. And one thing about past lives that's fascinating is when you go through past life reviews, which by the way you just did, you just went through your 12th house transit before your birthday. So during that transit, you are bringing emotional and heartfelt awareness to things that are normally hidden. And so you will have an experience sometimes where you have suddenly you're feeling something unexpected that makes no sense at all, while you're incredibly scared or afraid or something. You find yourself that makes no logical sense. Why am I feeling this way? And it feels very real, and it feels like it's happening now. But what's happening is that you're actually remembering an emotion that was not processed in the past life. And so that's ultimately what we have to do. We have to process these feelings. They're left unprocessed, unrendered, just the code and not the actual experience of the soul. And so we don't leave these processed emotions behind. This is our karma that we never had a chance to cope. So let's say you're in a war and someone comes up behind you and shoots you in the head with a gun, and you're dead, just another casualty of the war. You had no time to process your emotions about your family or dying. You had no time to process that you failed the country, and failed yourself. I mean, these things that will come up, for the men who survived war, they'll spend the next 40 years processing those feelings and freaking out about it, having a hard time processing them, frankly, with no resources to handle them. So, but that happens. So the next life, what will happen? Well, you'll manifest where you are shot, but you live. And so you're shot, but you live.
Jeez. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
it
what
makes
happens is,
sense.
and so you basically almost die from how you did die. And so it's a near death experience, NDE. It's a near close call, but it was never going to actually hit you, that bullet, because you had to get put back in that same stressful moment where you found yourself questioning your entire life if you've done anything wrong and all that sort of thing. And you actually do it, but survive. So that's the way of that feeling comes up. The original feelings come up, and you cope with those feelings by your response to those feelings. That's the
That
process of the karma right there.
Yeah, and karma isn't always punishment. Like the way you explain it has nothing to do with punishment, but that seems like the mainstream explanation of karma has a little bit or a lot to do with like being punished for things that you've done in the past.
I think it's because people, in the age of Aries, which is war, and Pisces, which is now spiritual wars, and Pisces. So we just warred for all these two. People use religion as a weapon, like, well, your karma's going to come back. And so I think
Yeah.
we turned it into a weapon. But from what I understand, and from the company of heaven, it's not even a eye for an eye thing. It's a if you live some experience right here, you have to also live the experience of the opposite of you before you can call it done. So Spirit said, God created us and put everything in two sides, divide the world in two, positive, negative, all these things. And so basically, we look at the world from each side, the negative and the positive. Negatives, I'm the one shot, or whatever, and then we flip it. We're forced to flip it because God is the whole circle. And so that's
Yeah.
what happens. It's not that you have to. It's like for some reason you have to finish your plate. As I say, makes you finish your plate. So and I said this to a group actually. It's kind of really dark in a way. I don't know if I should say it this way anymore, but like if something bad happens to you now, something really bad, it's very possible that you next time will be the one that does it to someone else. Like you'll have to be in that position to see what it was like for the person that did that to you, and so we don't realize in that regard there is no sin.
I mean, that's coming into oneness, right? That's
Correct. Wholeness. Yeah.
right. I mean, and godliness. Like
Totally.
that, like, so it's just like everything we see, everything we are, every person we interact with is all this one source, God.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to move into the week, but I also, unless you had anything else to go over, you mentioned earlier the Intro to Step System program that you've been doing. So I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get a little bit of update on that and what your plans are to do with that. Like, are you going to repeat that? Are you going to do the second phase of that? Can
Mm-hmm.
people get like, is there any recordings available? Yeah.
Okay, good question. So, well, we're on step 8 now, and there's two versions. There's personal and professional. So basically, the personal helps you deal with yourself and your life. The professional is everything personal and your clients. So you have this and client level, and there's a lot to know when you have clients and how to position yourself. So it introduces step astrology and the basics. It's super deep though, and I mean like super profound, especially for the professional level where people are learning some of the stuff that I wouldn't put on an individual unless they wanted to repeat it for many people. Long story short, it's great for me because I'm laying down all my knowledge about this like in one place for the first time. I've done it before. I'm writing a book too, but like this is different because people actually learn. And once you understand, basically what you do is you're going to understand how you have really 12 parts of yourself that your soul has been divided into 12 states. 12 states of America, like United States of America, 12 mentions them being 12 states. Each state has its own, what's really good at and what's really bad at. And so we're learning to become aware of our states and all of them, and to include all of them in what I call create a United States of awareness. Like we want to unite our states of awareness. Once you have united them, they're all talking to themselves. That to me is pretty much the enlightenment that we're talking about, at which point you stop questioning yourself ever. Can you imagine a world where you never question yourself? Because you know yourself so well. The only question is, what if, what could I wonder, but never like, can I trust me?
Mm-hmm.
That I think the reason why we have war on the planet is because we have war inside ourselves. Remember, this reality is a reflection of your inner self. Everything you're creating examples like metaphors of your inner self. So if you see a car accident on a given day, there's a part of you that's crashing into a part of you. It's not even, and you'll know if you look for that. So there comes a point when you like stop participating and start just watching the movie that you've created, and you start studying what you're seeing in the movie instead of seeing the movie, trying to control the movie itself. Because the movie itself is controlled by you. You're the remote control. When you change your field, everything changes in the story. You have to change yourself to change the story. You cannot change the story by putting your hands on the story. Although we've been told we could. And you can to some degree. You can, you can put your hands on it, you can go rob the bank and you can get away with it for a few weeks or something. Like you can, like, there's some leeway, but eventually the algorithm corrects itself, and you will understand all sides of it before you can let go of it. And you must let go of it before you can go to a higher frequency. And so it's just like this constant shedding, For me, I'm realizing that, my goodness, it's we've been distracted like crazy. One kind of realization is like we are so off the mark as far as what we're here to do and be, like so off the mark. And once you see how far off the mark we are, it's so ridiculous to watch.
So you just brought that up. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like we're off the mark? How can we be off the mark?
Well, we're not listening. We are the source of our truth. You're and now when I heard that when I was younger, I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Like, what are you talking about, the source? But now I realize it's like this is all a dream that you are creating, believe it or not. And it's so good to dream. It's so realistic that you have completely forgotten that you're the one driving the whole thing, and that you're the one writing the whole thing, and it's all your thing. So the first real awakening is like just recognizing that it's pretty crazy, but it is all you. And you find it from symbolism and things that repeat, and you'll see that your story is always the same. It's always a Bob. It's always a this. It's always a, you start to see, oh my God, this seems like it has one author. It does, and you start to, so to me, that's the head shaking, like, whoa, 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 kind of like in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, I'm worried about the wrong things. Like completely worried about the wrong things, spending time thinking about the wrong things, wrong meaning things that will not get me where I want to go, like what I want to do. There's only one thing to focus on, that's myself. That's it. All you have to do is focus on yourself. When you master yourself, you have everything mastered, because this world is a reflection of you. So mastering you means what Libra's about. Chris is cranky in the mornings. How do I counter that crank with like something that will pull myself out of that? How do I pull myself out of that vibration? How do I get a smile on my face, kind of thing. You literally start to learn, oh my God, I've got to learn how to operate me better. And that's, I think, what I've come to, at least at this point. And so, then the part is like, oh crap, I have this other life that's going full force this way, the wrong way. And how do I,
Right. So
how do I shift gears, but then again, it's amazing. The universe just supports. So right now, people are meeting a lot of new people. I don't know if you've met new people last couple of weeks, but you're being introduced to your new teams. You're being introduced to the people that'll be players in the next chapter of the story. These are agreements you had in heaven, company of heaven, to come down and play that part for you. So it's really almost like a movie in that sense.
Wow.
What that is.
Wow.
So that's what I'm realizing now.
I was thinking about moving to another city, and then yesterday I met somebody who lives in that city who's like pretty high level character in that city. But yeah, it actually, now that you say that, it seems like that makes sense that happened.
Well, yeah, a lot of times when you have something like that happen, it's actually just to move you a nudge. So it's like the takeaway was maybe you should move.
I know, but like you said, life's going full force in one direction. not that way. It's a little. It's the mind is struggling with that. My heart for sure is into it. I know that.
Well, no, it might have been actually, and this is what I'm saying. A lot of times it's like, oh my God, this is the one, this is the place. You think you're convinced, you get there, and it's like, no, this is not it.
Yeah.
And so it's my spirit be like, yes, you had to first say you want another city before we can start guiding to the one you had. So, like, your spirit never does it for you. You have to figure out what it is you're trying to figure out. And so it'll get you to like fall in love with the town so that you consider the idea of moving. Now you're ready to move. But that turns out that's not the town. That was just to get you ready to move. Now that
Right.
you're ready to move, now let's do, so it's all kind of tricking you into discovering stuff about yourself
Right.
by following what you feel in the moment. Which the faster you get to know yourself, the faster this whole ride goes. Understand what is your heart really wants. Understand why your heart was saying things, or why your mind was saying things. It's really understanding yourself. So this is what Libra's about. Like there's some of us, I think, like myself, who are awakening to the new relationships of the new age. And those relationships are very different than the ones we've had, where it's completely cooperative. Everyone gets it. You're never alone because you feel like you're around the people that vibrate like you do. And so a lot of our fear and phobias go away and reveal, I'm not sure. I do think our team meets on Mondays, and so we're looking at November, and it looks like November is like literally surgery where we're cutting out like what's not going to be anymore, and we're literally laying down new trunk lines for the new ride attraction of our new life. So and it looks like we're going for something. It looks like there's a point where we say to ourselves, every time I tried this in past lives, I fucked up and failed, but I gotta try it now. So I think we're
Wow.
gonna be called to like do something that we said no, really doubted our whole life, but something in the circumstance, something in the atmosphere is gonna be like, well, fuck it. If the UN can be this crazy, I'm gonna go ahead and be that clown or whatever. Like, just go ahead and do it. Like, just go ahead and do what I've always wanted to do because everyone else is doing what they want to do. Kind of like I think there's a moment where you just realize this place is a cuckoo house. I don't have time for you people. I'm just gonna go do what I want.
Right.
My heart's always what. Now, probably what you want is something you've been working towards for many lifetimes, because I think there's going to be, a lot of people ascending this lifetime. In other words, this is probably a record year, record lifetime of how many people ascend after this life. Like the race was always to here, and you hear this all the time from people. This is my last life. I would say, let's talk about that. It's a heavy statement. But I think a lot of people who are quick to claim it, like, know it's coming soon. And I think the people who aren't claiming it, they know it's probably it, but they don't want to say it. They're almost like reluctant to really think about that because they know it means something very different than what they're doing. And so at that point, once you realize this is it, this is my final time here, well, shit, what's it going to be? Is your
Right.
last one? How are you going out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With a bang, and your chart says how you're going out. But so you have this tremendous amount of people who are all going to say, "I'm doing what I want. I'm living the dream, whatever that dream is." And so that disrupts that desire, I think, of all these people going, I'm going to do what I want, follow my heart. Takes a huge karate chop to dark energy that had been basically feeding off these people that were caught in limbo. And now they take all their attention and put it on something else. So, you're basically laying off dark, laying off people who are taking advantage, who are just, living off of other people's generosity. These start to get dismissed. The light basically is like, wakes up and goes, wait a second, I don't need you.
Right.
I need me, excuse me, bye. And it's like, what, So I think there's going to be a lot of breakups, a lot of interesting things just end.
That's
And that's
happening in November.
that's happening, starting up, what happens is this week we come out of the closet ourselves and go, this is what I feel I want. This is it right here. This is what I want. And maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's a destination. Whatever it is, it will not be what you think. So I'll just tell you right now, whatever you think it is, it's not that. Because what you thought is what you've imagined with your mind when it was in a certain state. But you'll be surprised. It's everything you thought, but it's on a level you just could never have imagined. It's never have imagined. And you realize why. This is why I couldn't see it. Because I could never have imagined this.
And
And so
somehow it's so much more perfect than what you could have imagined.
100%. As every reveal to heaven is, by the way. It's more incredible than you ever imagined. We come down to earth. This is the only time we suffer. It's an illusion. We're in a machine, we're in a device that like creates the illusion of pain, but we are nothing at all like that whatsoever. This is not who we are as spirit anything.
Hey,
But we
so I have
take,
a question.
yeah.
it's a little bit related, but kind of like a random question. What word do you use to say something? So I almost was just about to say it's crazy how that happens.
Oh, I
How
know.
so like instead of the word crazy, do you use a word that means like it's shocking, but without the negative connotation of crazy?
Well, I know what you're saying. It's like you're trying to communicate it. We do need better words. I
Right.
mean, I think we need better words, and hopefully, the millennials will be like really riding this wave during a certain amount of their youth and really like going heads on with this. They're going to be the generation that really goes on heads on with ascension, and and I will. I'm ahead. A lot of people in my class may or may not be. Like, but their class will all be doing it, no question, right? And so I think they'll come up with a lot of new words that describe stuff that are slang at the time, and they'll end up being like the power of karma, in lifetimes ahead of time. But the truth of the matter is this: when the moment hits you, and it's unbelievable, and I've had a lot of unbelievables happen. At the same time, you knew it would happen. You knew, like I always knew, and that's what I mean by new world order. That we're going to a new world order. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, whoever is in Europe that said this new world order and has this idea about economics, y'all were just picking up on what we're already planning. And what we're already planning is that we're going to go back to what we knew always all along. That everything since then was actually a departure from as an experiment to see, what would be like if this happened? And to see, will we appreciate our Earth gone? Will we appreciate our people gone? Will we appreciate our friends gone? Will we appreciate, like, who are we? Who are we when we're tested at that level? And so we answer that question. We're answering that now. Well, this is who I was. This is what I was. This is what I became. But now I desire, or I belong, basically. This. I've already tried this thing and I'm done. I'm over it. So all of a sudden, people just start heading that way. So I think what's going to happen personally is that you have like a flight of people who are in their hearts and want to go play and just give themselves permission to do it. I'm just going to go play. Fuck it. Kind of like the hippies did, but now responsible, like hippies. I think like a generation of responsible hippies who's like, man, let's have some fun, you know? And I think that's what it is. Let's go have some fun. I spent all these lifetimes with all these false problems, pretending like I was lost in it, only to realize it was all my imagination, pretty much. I imagined how to respond. I imagined the whole plot. And so once you realize, my God, I created nothing but stuff I don't like, but that means I can create anything I want. I think
Right.
there's this like, so I think that the force of darkness out is the rush of light in. It's like, it's not even a heads-on thing. It's not a heads-on thing. It's just like, Jesus, we got to move out of this neighborhood. It's filling up with light.
Right,
You know,
right.
like I'm uncomfortable here, and dark is uncomfortable when it's illuminated. So as soon as we shine our light on it and go like, what the hell is it? What the hell are you guys doing over here in this bank system? What are you guys doing over here? What's in here? What's in the Vatican?
Exactly. That's
We start
happening.
setting our flashlight. What the hell's going on here? This is
What's
fucked
going
up.
on here,
Like, what have you been
people?
doing while we've been suffering? What?
Exactly.
So it's at that
I
point,
mean,
they're like, yeah,
that feels like it's exponent, like the revolution. I mean, that word apocalypse means a revealing. It means revealing,
mm,
basically.
mm,
So it is an apocalypse to a lot of systems. A lot of people becoming more aware. So we're ending the second deca, right, and going into the third
today.
of Libra.
Mm-hmm.
And so today's Monday. What's
Well,
happening this week?
we're in 20 now, so you basically want to now, how this a feeling is like conglomerate of all your vibrations. So you want to feel safe and what it feels like to feel safe. How do you want to feel every day? How do you want to wake up in the morning and feel? That is, you take that feeling and then you put a boundary around it and go, this is the future. This feeling, how I want to feel every day, this is the future. The future feels this way
That's
from the,
cool.
from the ground up. The future feels this way from the ground up. That's what today is. And so you say, I'm going to feel this way and I protect this feeling. And I'm going to make sure this feeling is protected in everything I do and everything I choose to make sure I preserve this feeling. That I don't put any other priorities on anything in life other than this feeling being preserved. Right? And so you're going to find along the last 10 days of the journey that, other feelings come up that compete for those feelings, or people notice you're feeling different and they don't like that. So they start saying shit, trying to talk you off your cloud. And so it's an obstacle course because you realize that you put in all sorts of weird things in your life that really are just like trying to like guide you into new feelings. They're not really like there for anything else but to like manipulate yourself, like having a picture of Dr. Mr. T in your home gym. Like it's like we've been trying to like get our feelings to do things, and we've been trying to dodge from feeling bad feelings, and we've been basically a baby with our feelings. We're gonna realize we've been a baby. We've been a total baby. We're a baby when we yell at them in Congress. We're a baby when they do this. We're fucking babies. We are
Hmm.
just crybabies, and we're not like picking ourselves up and dusting ourselves off, and that's all it is, as it turns out. Like, but now I do think there's a system that notices how naive we are, and it's deliberately throwing rocks at the baby. There really is that. There are
Yeah.
people who do that, and there's people who hurt the baby, and they get off on it. They get excited and think it's a good cool thing. So there are bullies, that who don't feel good either, but they feel better when they make us feel bad.
Right.
And believe it or not, it's inside out, it's Satan, it's darkness, whatever you want to call it. But there's no problem. The problem is we can't let those people upset us anymore.
In
And
a
really,
way, they're
this,
a tool, right? They're a tool for our own
yeah,
uh
to recognize where the
rec.
problem is.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
weird. I was going to use that word recognition, and you said the exact word. But
Hmm.
cool.
Coming with my brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about feelings. And so going forward, it's about, if something happens that you don't like it, that you don't like the way you feel, turn inward and change how you feel. Put your hands on the child in the emotional field and nurture, rock, gently love. You get that feeling that you shift that feeling around. You alchemize that feeling to feel good and to feel good about yourself. And it doesn't matter, what you say to yourself or whatever, because it's you and you, only you. And if you can learn how to keep your feelings where you want them, you're going to ascend, because that's the only problem. We have said, I feel bad for this person. Why? Why are you doing that? Why are you feeling bad? Why are you letting yourself go feel bad? I felt bad to
Sorry.
say it was okay. Why do you feel bad? Why do you train yourself to go feel bad when that happens? The person is this, I feel bad. Why are you letting some guy you never met like make you feel bad? Like, why do you let it get to you? Why do you let it get to you? And so we let it get to us. We allow it. We see it coming in. We invite it right in with like red carpet. And all we have to do is say, no, I don't want to feel that.
Yeah, I really like how you said that feeling, protect it. Protect it with everything that you have. And that's our responsibility. And as we do that, our choices will shift, and therefore our reality will shift. The more of us that do that as well.
Yes, because your emotion is pretty much your communication to your fellow human beings and Mother Earth Gaia. And so Mother Earth feels you and you feel her, because you use her energy to make your body. And so you're half
Yeah.
Gaia and you're
We
half
are
Earth.
Earth. Right.
We are her. I mean, we're living in her suit. These are her molecules. This is her consciousness. Her soul's making these molecules for us. We're not making them. All we're doing is she's lending us them to us. So really, she tells you everything. If you just listen to her through your body tells you everything. But humans, because of church and stuff, they don't think they have the right to like just feel around and see if they've discovered something no one else discovered. The substance that I discovered, it was channeled to me, but I looked inside and I was like, holy shit, this does work. I didn't, look for anyone else to tell me it works, because how can I trust you? I got to see for myself if this works.
Did
But
you
realizing that you're the source that you care to impress, you're the source you care to impress, you're the one you're trying to make happy. It's all about you the whole time. It's
yeah.
really, you're the only concern you have.
Did the step system come like out of the blue for astrology for you, or were you already into astrology and then step system?
Oh, I was into astrology, and the story goes that I was doing I was actually practicing, because I did the horoscopes every day until I was happy with them. And one day it was like just such a shitty day, and like I just asked, like, why? How can today be the same sign? The moon's moved only like 12 degrees. Mercury's moved 2 degrees. Venus has moved 1 degree. Mars has moved a half a degree, and that's all that moved the whole fucking planet in 24 hours. So how is today so damn different? Right? And this voice said to me, "Look at number two." I was like, "Look at number two." Number two, like number two. Like it was like, "What do you mean number two?" Like, so I'm looking at this thing, looking for twos, and then suddenly I realized, oh my god, this is the degrees of the planets. They were all like twos that day. They were like all twos. Like everything was a two. Like Mercury's two, and then some were 20, and I was like, oh my god. And so in that moment, then I have a flash from Linda Goodman, who's one of the most famous astrologers. He really set the trend for popular astrologers in the 70s with her love signs and stuff like that. But in her book, I found that she discovered that each number associates with a planet, and that two is the moon. And so I was like, oh, holy shit. So it was just a head exploded, because like, whoa, that means that all these degrees actually mean like subtle configurations of what's playing today, something that no astrologer looks at. And astrologer looks at the degree really as to what it's doing to today. Like today's step 20. So today our primary feelings are we are feeling everything, and we're also feeling the zero. We're feeling an absence. And so usually a step 20 starts with feeling very vulnerable, feeling like something's going to go wrong. You're getting upset. You don't know what is going to upset you, but you're afraid of what's going to upset you. You can feel that you can't feel. It's like I can feel that I don't feel what's going to happen. And really what's happening is like you have to define and say, you know what? I protect what's going to happen. I protect that these feelings will be in my heart delighted by the end of the day. Now, when you tell your feelings that, they obey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're the
They
master.
do. You get to the end of the day, and you're like, "Wow, I'm so happy." And you're like, "Oh my God, just like you told him to do it." Like, it's pretty amazing because that body is like by Gaia. And so you tell, especially with love, you tell what you want. The body's going to do it. It's like a puppy. It wants to do it for you.
Right. Yeah.
So everything really wants to automatically be magical. And we just didn't realize we had to tell the world what we wanted. And it's mostly from your response. So this week, you're gonna have feelings come at you, and you have feelings complicate things, and the world will probably get some sort of a smack of something. I mean, I don't know what it'll be. We had an assassination a few weeks ago. I mean, I would imagine it's something dark, And the test is, you don't have to let it get to you. It's okay. You don't have to let it get to you. So you don't have to feel bad when the space shuttle blows up. You don't have to. You don't have to feel bad about any of these things. The feeling bad is really just tapping into like what people are feeling. You feel like, oh my God, my brothers and sisters. And then if you are in touch with yourself every day, you'll probably know a lot of times what you're feeling is other people you're feeling. You're not even feeling you. Most of the time you're not feeling you, but you think it's you because you haven't separated you from the world. And so we just pick up on it. We're like, oh, I feel so sad. I don't know why. Something's wrong with me. It's like the girl next door is like having a mental breakdown right now, and she's going through it. You don't even realize you're picking up on your neighbor crying, right? And so when you like check on yourself every day and how you feel, and you tell yourself, hey, this is how I feel. Okay, that's the temperature. Well, how do I wish I could feel? What do I wish I was feeling? I wish I was feeling that day I was, in the park with so-and-so. I want to feel that way again. Okay, well, then let's try to feel that way by the end of the day. And that's it. You've given it a goal. That's actually all it wanted and needed, was to be heard of what it was feeling, for you to show and go, oh, okay, let's feel this way. And then to guide yourself in that direction and then protect that you can get there. And you'll find that it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind at how the day seems to conspire.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through a period, by the way, we'll talk about this, of where you think you're crazy because you think, like a schizophrenic, you're controlling the weather and shit. And you can't believe that that's even possible. And you go through this period of like, oh my God, if anyone heard this, I'd be, not so, because we really have been taught to think that we're crazy if we think we have any kind of control over the environment,
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever. So, the next leap is like, it's hard to believe. But whenever I get to the core stuff, I'm like, yeah, I actually do believe. I'm just afraid of what
Right.
people think.
Right. Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
just usually afraid of what people think. I myself am pretty cool with that almost always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else regarding the forecast for this week?
So, each day we're adding on an extra thing. So every day, show up to your day and get your feelings to a feeling of neutral before you go into your life. Get yourself calm and happy again. Before you think about things you have to do, before you're doing like that, just get yourself like a happy baby and say, oh, okay, that's happy baby. And then go into your life and say, protect this. I want to protect this feeling. And then go into your life. And what you're going to find immediately is, now that you know that what it feels like to be happy in that day, you'll see all the things that you used to let make you not happy. They'll all show themselves. And suddenly you'll be like, huh, it's not affecting me now. I'm not bugged by so-and-so. I'm not annoyed by this. I'm not annoyed by that. Like, what's wrong? And there's nothing wrong. It's that you're just not a pinball bouncing off of shit anymore. Now you've said, this is who I feel I am, and this is who I feel I will be this next moment. And so now your feelings have a path. You have an experience laid out. And so you're not going to be affected by any other experience unless you decide to get off the road and steer in that direction.
Right.
Just suddenly makes such a clear distinction between you and the world.
Yeah. Because there's things that could upset us happening all the time, but we only notice the things that actually do upset us. And when we decide I'm not going to let that upset me anymore, they still keep on happening. It's not like they just disappear. They still keep on happening, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, too, that I discovered this weekend is like, and I said this in today's pep talk on Siriusjoy, it's like, for some reason, I realize like people get mad. I think people get mad at me because I don't emotionally react when I'm wrong. Like if I'm wrong about something, I make a mistake, I don't let myself feel bad about it. I just move on and keep going. I think people like were telling me like, well, you're not hearing me. You're not listening to me. I don't think it's really getting into you. And I realized, oh, you mean I'm not feeling bad about it, and that upsets you. And I realized, oh my God, we treat each other like the only way is like if we make someone feel bad about it. We're like, well, you feel bad about it for a while, then we'll let you'll be fine. It's like, why? Why do I have to feel bad about it?
Right.
To make
That's
you
polite.
happy? Polite. Well, yeah, polite. Like, I feel bad. That's one of our main sayings in our culture. I feel bad. Well, actually,
Yeah.
when you
I'm
say you feel
sorry.
bad, you say I feel like I have to feel bad. But
Right.
really,
Exactly.
but I don't know if I really feel bad. And I'm not gonna let them know I don't feel bad because they'll think I'm Lucifer. So, and it's not that I don't care. It's that it doesn't mean anything. It's like we don't have to throw ourselves and feel bad in order to show us that we're good. And so I think you're going to realize that there's a lot of games like that where we pretend when we all know we're pretending, we all know we're bullshitting, and none of us are talking about it. And it's so obvious that this is all just a bullshit ritual, I don't pin the tail on a donkey. It's just like, this is a ritual we do with ourselves. But the truth is, I don't feel bad. Do you? No, I don't feel bad. It's
Yeah.
like,
So
well, that's our
let's move
truth.
on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what you
Whatever
were
it
talking
is.
about with new relationships. It's like the structure of the relationships are changing because these old rules that we've been playing out don't really serve our highest good anymore. And I think a lot of us are waking up to that.
Yeah, and I think also it's like, right now, I just say the news. It's like it thinks it can bang the drum and make me feel sad. No, dude, you can't. Like, sorry, like I'm not falling for that shit
Seriously.
anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
don't, just because you tell me you're excited, everyone's excited. I don't believe you. Like, I don't feel that way. I think we're at a point now where we're becoming our own source of truth. So that's this week is about. It's like you'll be tempted to let the world hijack your experience, but you'll realize that you are letting it hijack because you're not telling it where to go, and so you're letting someone else drive all the time. So humans have been letting other people drive, pretending that other people can drive, when really they're just afraid to drive.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're afraid to
Behind the
drive.
steering wheel.
But here's the thing: you've been driving the whole time. You don't. You just don't know you've been driving the whole time. So you'll find that I was driving the whole time.
Right.
And then it's
Right.
like, well, that was silly. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
funny. So it's profound stuff like that. But yeah, protect your feelings. So come to Siriusjoy if you guys want help with this. We coach every day, and it's $20 a month once you really pay. It's $3.99 to start out for the first month. But there's a pep talk every morning, and it's like very deep like this, and just guides you with, here's what's going to come in today. What I would focus on this, and you just follow our guidance for like 10 days, and you'll see your life improve immediately. Because
And
it's really about just knowing what to pay attention to when. There's a certain sacred dance, and if you learn the electric boogie, everything just starts working. And things like this happen, like with my eye and stuff. It's like stuff bubbles up because once the ship is moving towards the right way, all the stuff that you've been holding on to now has to come up. You're not satisfied with just cleaning the tile. Now I want to scrub between the tiles. You just realize you want to scrub everything, like get this thing, pearly white again. And so you do go into, once you take charge of your feelings, there is a period where things get a little intense because at that point you can't go halfway. You have to do it. And so there's that moment. And I think that's where a lot of us are right now. We're realizing, wow, I just have to do the whole thing. Just got to do it. And
so
because I've
what's
been
the
through so much
website?
bullshit, I can do it.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I cut you off there. Sorry, I didn't. I was just saying, what's the website people go to for that?
Siriusjoy.tv. It's spelled like the star Sirius, Sirus. And we got a lot of people from Sirius working for us right now. I'm not kidding. Like original star seeds and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
it's,
it's a
it's a
double
great
play
place.
on the word like getting serious about joy too.
Getting serious. Well, Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. And so it's like when you get serious about your joy, you'll be a bright star too. It's like you spend your whole life serious about this and serious about that. Why not get serious about your joy? If you gotta be so fucking serious, get serious about it. Like quit
I
fucking.
really like your wordsmithing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think our minds give us this chatter, so we hijack that stuff and make it a better radio show.
Yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
But this last week, this is a test, and I think even my eye thing, was it like me getting it early? I think most people are gonna have that around step 22. So, which will be Wednesday, could be a breakdown, not a breakdown.
Okay.
Just a wake up call. It's not even. It's a wake up call. Like, oh my god, I woke up, my eye was swollen. Like, what the fuck? Like, total wake up. What are you telling me? What's going on? What left eye? Just tell me what. You know,
So
like,
last thought, like, so there is going to be a wake up call potentially for most people. What what do you have to say about that? And we'll leave it there.
well, I think there's going to be an event that
Okay.
distracts. That I think I feel there's an event. I don't even think. I feel there's an event. I felt it with the first, assassination. That there'll be
You did.
a sister,
You
and
talked about things that was going to happen. We
I
were
feel
talking
like it
about it for
is.
months.
Yeah, I feel like it is, and so that's going to be the real. I think at that point, I know I feel that people go, okay, you guys, I'm not buying this one. Like I think a lot of people are just like that doesn't feel real to me. I've noticed a lot of things on TV and stuff that don't feel real anymore. Everything feels fake.
Because it is.
I
Yeah.
know, but I wasn't feeling it before. Now I'm just like, they know I'm in the room, right? They know I'm an adult. They know I'm intelligent, right? Like, some of the stuff that people are getting caught for and stuff. Like, it's like you didn't think you'd get caught. Like, like, I mean, it's such a weird. It's like we're literally just it's expecting us to not pay attention. So, but again, it's all about making yourself happy in the day. Make yourself joyful, and the world will surprise you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wednesday's the only hazard day. Just keep feeling what you're feeling, and we come back next week. We'll be talking about now moving forward to what we've discovered is the right path. So you want to find what feels best between now and next Monday.
It sounds like an amazing time that we have over the next few weeks.
About to get crazy for the next couple of years. I
Yeah.
think we're about to see some stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah. Amazing.
So
All
yeah.
right, Chris. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. And we'll see you next week. And go to SiriusJoy.tv to find out more.
.com.
.com.
Yeah,
All right.
it's okay.
All
That
right.
TV will take us also to our YouTube. You'll find us no matter what. Anything Serious Joy is us. So
Yeah.
thanks,
Yeah. Yeah.
buddy. I appreciate you.
Bye bye.
Bye
Appreciate you
bye.
too.